Hello, I'm Adrian Ashley from Cirata. Just want to introduce the webinar for this afternoon. We've got 30 minutes talking around how we can provide the acceleration of Hadoop migrations into the Databricks platform. As I say, we'll go through the whys and the wherefores and what are the barriers to doing this. Actually presenting today will be myself and Hemant Barol. Hemant is from Databricks over in the US. He's a senior specialist in the solution architecture team in Databricks. If you want to say hello.
Hey guys.
And as I say, myself and Hemant will be conducting the presentation for the next half an hour. I'm Adrian Ashley. I'm the VP of Sales Engineering at Cirata. I also look after the sales team from a technical perspective as well, making sure that they're on point with some of the technical aspects of our solution for Hadoop migration. And without further ado, I'll hand over to Hemant to give you a breakdown of what we're actually going to talk about today.
That's good. All right. Thanks, Adrian. Thanks for the introduction. Like Adrian mentioned, I'm a senior solution specialist architect at Databricks, specializing on Hadoop and enterprise data warehouse migrations. I'm on the scaling and strategy team. And let's dive into why we are here in terms of when we talk about Hadoop migrations. There is a proliferation of organizations that are wanting to move away from the traditional Hadoop to the cloud, and more specifically, Databricks. When the customers commit to doing so, we want to, from Databricks perspective, we partnership with migration partners like Cirata, and we make this migration journey cost effective, and we want to also make it operationally efficient, right? We want to take away all the daunting heavy lifting away from the customers. So let's dive deeper into both these topics one by one, and we'll go from there. Okay, thank you. So people choose technology not for technology's sake, right? They want to derive some value out of it. So in working with several customers that are using Hadoop, the challenges that they face really break down into two parts here, right? One of them is the cost and the complexity, right? They spend a lot of money in upgrades, and upgrades are very difficult and expensive, right? This taking advantage of the latest innovation requires you to be on the latest and greatest versions, and the upgrade process can be painful and really long. Then there's also the SLAs, right? We have very tight SLAs. There's a classic noisy neighbor problem. And then that can lead to performance bottlenecks and missed SLAs and on some really business critical workloads, right? On the scalability part, there's Hadoop clusters. As we know, traditionally, they're not very easy to scale. It requires a lot of capacity to be provisioned in advance. Then the infrastructure can just sit around with like a lot of idle time, maybe sometimes even 40%, 60%. And then as you add capacity, the expense grows on over time, right? And then the administration is not fun either. The administration of the clusters, controlling all the knobs to make it optimal, it can have a lot of overhead on the team. There's like sometimes I've seen customers that have just an army of administrators just to administer this. So managing small files is another problem there, right? So all these factors lead to very high costs and complexity in maintaining this Hadoop stack. So customers are looking to minimize the capital expenses on this and the investments, and then prefer to move towards a pay-as-you-go model. So how does Databricks address this, right? To sum up this part, right? We provide managed platform. There's native cloud-based option solutions, and then we also have the Delta Lake. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into solutions, but let's talk on the second problem as well here, the second challenge that the customer face. It's the technical debt, right? On innovation, there is a lot of risk associated, and it only grows with as you are using this legacy Hadoop architecture. Transitioning to modern architecture and finding skilled resources to maintain the current stack becomes difficult. And as time progresses, it only gets more complicated. On the innovation side, there is a lot of tight coupling with on-prem infrastructure as and the software components. So Hadoop has largely lagged the cloud innovation, and customers have not been able to benefit so much in terms of innovation. And then we all know about the data silos, right? With traditional Hadoop, you have all the usual silos that come with DevOps, with Dev, QA, Prod, clusters. There's also this data gravity has shifted to the cloud companies, and that is making it harder when you want to like wait for Hadoop to solve their problems. And then there is also this cloud first approach, right? Meaning all the new use cases want to go to the cloud, and then the legacy want to stay on-prem. So this creates even more data silos in some ways. So customers are back to square one when they want to address this data silos. And finally, then these customers have launched a lot of Gen AI and LLM initiatives, especially in the past 12 months. And then the lack of access to GPUs and then models on-prem has severely throttled their efforts because it really is not very easy to do with Hadoop. And then this converts into a risk of losing market opportunities. So in summary, right, Hadoop had a great vision, but has not been able to deliver on that promise. So with these challenges in mind, let's see what customers are really asking for. So Adrian, can we go to the next slide, please?
Yeah, just before I go to the next slide, if there are any questions, if you can drop them into the chat, Hemant and myself will pick those up towards the end of the session, just so we don't interrupt the flow of the session.
Point, Adrian. Thanks. So yeah, like we said, now let's listen to what customers are saying, right? At Databricks, we really listen intently to our customers. We want to build on what matters to them the most, right? With the booming of the Gen AI, every customer is trying to deliver value to their business through innovation. And some of these customers are in the advanced stages, reaping the benefits of AI already, and others are still like in the exploratory phase, right? Playing around with the tools and trying to understand how they can make the most out of it. But no matter what stage the customer is at, they still want to be able to derive some value out of Gen AI. And at Databricks, it's like our priority to ensure that experience of using Gen AI or ML and AI on the platform is really smooth and seamless. So our effort to make the journey from data acquisition all the way from data acquisition to model building and serving it should be completely seamless. That's really the effort from our side, and we make it easy to build the models iteratively, which means like you can build new models just as smooth as you can deploy newer models, like update them iteratively, right? So we don't want customers to just stop on improving their models, but also want to ensure that the deployed models scale for the future, right? So as they grow, uh, they have a lot of things going on in the model, but they also want to be able to move faster, and they have more customer base. They are getting more and more queries on their models. So we want to make so their architecture over time can become really complicated and even dynamic, right? So we want to make sure that the end-to-end deployment process is as frictionless as possible. And we do this by building architectures that can really scale for the future. With like the traditional Hadoop systems, either some of them don't even support Gen AI, or their iterative model deployment is really very cumbersome. And we already know that scaling on these systems is already painful. So this is where we also listen to the customer on not just what they want, but what they really don't want in terms of their pain points. So the customers are saying that in addition to all the goodness that they desire, they don't want to have to manage complex configurations with several moving parts and a lot of different knobs to tune. They have expressed that such complexity forces them to constantly and actively monitor their platform, right? Just to make sure that everything's running, the lights are on, and it can really be very exhausting. So, and then when they notice any such issues, they have to fix it, and those fixes can be really tacky. There's like last minute patches, emergency fixes. So it's not really a smooth ride. So now that we know what the customers want, what they don't want, let's see how Databricks platform helps bring this all together. So when for those who already have worked with Databricks, they're kind of familiar with what this diagram is showing here. Um, there is the Databricks platform. It's built to avoid having any manual like stitching of disparate solutions to make their use case work. There's the data layer that provides the Delta Lake uniform, which supports various formats. We recently are supporting Iceberg as well, so that's kind of really neat. And then you don't have to worry about indexing or partitioning. And then there is Unity Catalog, which can basically manage all the metadata, the security over it, role-based access, and then auto-discovering the schemas, which is really very helpful. It can also build your business catalog by just deriving using like intelligence engine. So the intelligence engine is another piece here, which is really very important, and it helps the developers. They can be guided to the right data just by asking. And then there is data warehousing, which basically allows you to allows the analyst to use features like text to SQL, which is very efficient and fast. And then they can just basically specify queries in natural languages, and Databricks will generate the necessary code as well as the visualization behind it. Then for orchestrating, the intelligence engine automatically selects the right instances and start time to hit your requirements. It handles things like auto scaling and error remediation for you. And then for those jobs themselves, we do not automate. We can do automated data quality monitoring. The intelligence engine can detect when model quality is going, automatically flag it, and assist in remediation, right? And then finally, on the AI side, we're really excited about how the platform enables you to build your own generative AI applications. So using things like Mosaic AI and also other supported features on AI. So having so basically after having all this platform for data, now you can basically fulfill a lot of your business cases. Really, the sky is the limit, and you have a very strong big data foundation at the end of this. And the core, it serves as a core for your AI workloads. So, as mentioned in the recent blog post that is listed here from Adam Conway, SVP at Databricks, that big data has only gotten more important with AI. It really serves as the platform to build any AI use cases, right? So when Databricks giving the strong foundation for big data, your company can now deliver outcomes that really matter to your business. And to help this journey make smoother, let's see how Cirata can help with these migrations. So over to you, Adrian.
Thanks, Simon. Yeah, so essentially there we've learned that, it's a great platform for AI, the Databricks platform. From a Cirata perspective, what we're seeing here, there are existing customers of Databricks who have invested in that technology, who are finding it a little frustrating that they can't move at speed to get the appropriate data into that Databricks environment to take advantage of it. And obviously there's prospects of both Ciratas and Databricks that are looking towards a Databricks solution that haven't actually reached out and got there to that infrastructure yet. But what we are actually seeing is this notion of, originally it was, let's do a big bang approach of moving all the data into Databricks, and then we continue as a Databricks platform, and we can let go of our expensive Hadoop cluster on-prem. But what we're actually seeing, a more pragmatic approach now, is that this sort of this hybrid cloud approach, where we see customers looking for a particular data set within their on-prem data lake to move first into Databricks, so that they can actually start looking at some of the analytics that's within that infrastructure itself. What that gives them is a very quick win and a very good indication of the capabilities of the Databricks environment, without having to literally boil the ocean or the data lake to move that over all in one movement into Databricks. And another element to that is obviously people experimenting with different hyperscalers in the cloud, we can actually move between those clouds as well. So our unique element of being able to move data into the Databricks environment is what we call the live data migration capability. And what this allows us to do is to take data from your source Hadoop system, put it into the Databricks environment without interrupting any of your existing business processes and requirements that the business units within your organizations want to do. So we are essentially just siphoning off, if you like, parts of that data without any business interruption to enable your organization to get some quick wins, some early wins around utilizing the Databricks environment. So we use, as we say here, a data first strategy. We look at the data first before anything else. As I've said, we can move data elements into the Databricks environment and allow your data scientists and your analysts to immediately begin looking at that data and starting to build machine learning elements to that and gaining insight around that data, whilst the rest of the data is catching up and moving into that Databricks environment. We're not interrupting the existing business users. They can continue to use that data that's still sitting in the Hadoop environment. They can be updating that data. We are picking up those updates and also automatically moving those into the Databricks environment as well. And as I say, what we're looking for really is to justify the purchase of moving into that Databricks environment by looking for some quick wins. And so, there's no delay to the benefits of actually waiting for that data to come into Databricks, because we can do that at speed and at scale. So what are the challenges that we solve? I've mentioned some of them, but clearly, if you have got large amounts of data in Hadoop, the Cirata data migrator can move those volumes at scale. If there is a lot of updates on the source, we are managing those updates. We are taking note of those updates and moving those across at the same time they are occurring, or as near in real time as they are on the source. And what we're also seeing is what can be a blocker to a lot of this is customers thinking they can do this themselves using Python scripts, using distcp that comes with some of the Hadoop releases. And what we find is that a lot of in-house projects to move data into a cloud and a Databricks environment often are delayed and are usually more costly because of the nature of having to write the scripts, having to test scripts to use the data migration. And really, at that level of the manual migration, there is no real way of tracking those live updates. There's a constant need to reconcile what's on the target and what's on the source manually to make sure that your data quality is up to speed in there. With the Cirata solution, that's all automated. So, we can put it straight into the cloud. With a new release of the product, we can actually convert that data from the Hadoop format into the Delta Lake format, so it's even more immediately available to the Databricks environment in the new standard that's emerging for that sort of data lakehouse environment. So the time to benefit is much reduced. We can get that data there much quicker. You can begin analyzing that data much quicker, and therefore you'd get more business benefit being derived from it. So what we'd like to see, obviously, is from that analysis, you're actually realizing new revenue streams earlier than you thought you may do. And we've got some case studies later on that actually exemplify that particular point. So from a technical perspective, why is the Cirata data migrated solution so good at this? Well, one of the main things whenever you're doing any data migration is inevitably you're going to have to scan that data to check what you've actually got in your data lake. The Cirata solution is a single pass migration solution. So we only actually do a single pass of that data. And actually, if you've only got a couple of terabytes of data, single pass, multi-pass migrations aren't too extensive. But when you've got petabytes of data, a single pass on that data can take a considerable amount of time. So again, we've tuned the software to be able to do this using just a single pass. And the updates I mentioned, if you've got business users still updating that data, we don't have to repeatedly scan that environment for those changes. We use a messaging system called iNotify within Hadoop, which tells us which of those data files have been updated, and we can then act accordingly on those changes and move them over to the Databricks environment without, as I say, having to do that expensive repeat scan. As I've said previously, there is no disruption to the on-premise environment. The footprint of the actual Cirata solution is very small on the Hadoop cluster as well. We're not running MapReduce workloads on the source environment, so we're not taking any significant processing power out of the source environment, which again, some of the manual processes that I've seen in this space can actually, begin to affect some of the service levels that you've got on existing applications. We've got obviously a UI for the product. It's very easy to use to be able to set up these migrations, to be able to set up the data sets that you want to move and in which priority that you want to move them. And as I said previously, in the new release, we can actually, as we're moving that data, we can also convert that into the Delta Lake format that is now favored for Databricks. And on the Metastore side, whilst we used to move to their legacy Metastore in Databricks, now with the Unity catalog, we can also move the Metastore data into that Unity catalog as well. As you can see on the right-hand side of that screen there, they are some of the file types that we are commonly talking about when we are moving Hadoop data into the Databricks environment. So at a high-level architecture perspective, this is what a Databricks solution use case looks like. We've got the HDFS files on the on-premise data cluster. We've also got Apache Hive managing the Metastore. We use the live migrator, and we can either put the data into the Amazon S3 buckets or ADSL Gen 2, depending on your flavor of hyperscaler. And as I said previously, we can either put that into the legacy Metastore, which is a Hive Metastore from previous versions of Databricks, or moving now into the new Unity catalog, holding all of the Metastore, the metadata within the Unity catalog, and obviously doing that Delta Lake conversion as well, should the customer wish us to do that for them. So 3 simple use cases. We can just deliver the data to the S3 buckets or the ADLS Gen 2 object store and let the Databricks side of the equation take control of what they want to do with that data. And again, you can then begin to ingest that automatically yourself through the Databricks utilities. Or, as I said, we can move the Metastore into the legacy Metastores of Databricks, or now we can actually move the data into the Unity catalog. That again is all done automatically. You can be selective in the data that you want to move. The Metastore data, as well as the data, can be selective in that context. So some joint case studies between us. American Airlines, obviously in the States, they are an Azure customer. They were just looking to provide a way of getting their data into the cloud and being able to analyze that data really quickly, as I said, to get some sort of faster time to market capabilities there. So that was an early win for both us and Databricks. Just conscious of the time, so I'll skip through some of the others. We have those. We can share the slide set with you. Just wanted to go on to the Cirata and Databricks relationship and how we actually work together. Our development team talks to the Databricks development team, obviously with a lot of the new technology emerging around the unified catalog, etc. We work with those teams to ensure that our migration capability keeps apace with the Databricks capability. We work with the sales teams at Databricks, so the Cirata and the Databricks sales team are as one. We share technical content, obviously, and we can both take advantage of some of the hyperscaler enterprise agreements that your customers or you may have, that you may have already invested in Azure or AWS as a large investment in your organizations. We can actually come under that umbrella of some of those agreements that you have to actually burn through some of that credit that you have with those hyperscalers. So briefly, next steps: reach out to either your Databricks or your Cirata account managers. Ask for a demo of our software. We can easily tailor that to your requirements. What we're looking for, as I said, is those quick wins, those pilot environments that we can not only can we prove the Cirata migration capability, but we can also prove the AI capabilities of Databricks. And as I say, we'll work together to help you build a business case to actually moving into the Databricks environment. I know I've rushed through that, but I was very conscious of the time. Have we got any questions?
So I think we only have time maybe to answer
Okay.
one quick question. But we'll have to take other questions offline. There's a question about what barriers are involved in moving towards Databricks architecture, and I can quickly answer. That really basically depends on what you're moving from and whether you're a cloud provider. I mean, Databricks can support all the three major cloud providers, but the process for migration can differ from one to other. So we're happy to connect offline and dive deeper into the specifics of the use cases and look at your current state architecture to identify if there's any barriers, if at all. Right.
Thanks, Mom.
Yep.
As I say, please email us again if you've got any further questions, and our marketing team will be in touch anyway. They have your contact details. Thank you very much for your attendance. That was a quick high level of the relationship between Cirata and Databricks and how we can get your data into that environment.